Hi, this is Skip Lawrence, PhoenixvilleNews.com. We're joined here today by Guy Ciarrocchi, candidate for the State House in the 157th District. Delighted that you're here. Thank you very much for coming.
Good morning. Thanks, Skip. I enjoy being here. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about issues.
Good. We're preceded by a podcast that took up some of the background issues, some of the biographical issues, and I invite any of our watchers to check the link to the podcast for that. That enables us to get more closely into some of the issues involved in the campaign.
I agree. Having the podcast and this type of interview, along with the more traditional newspapers, the more ways that we can discuss issues and the more ways we can reach people, it's a wonderful opportunity, and I appreciate having the chance to do it.
Good. Thank you again. The issues have been joined thus far in the campaign, principally about reform in Harrisburg. Do you want to speak a little bit about that and your priorities for reform in the House?
Sure. The issue of reform was really one of the reasons that motivated me to run. Early on in the campaign, when Representative Rubley announced she was retiring, I thought long and hard about whether or not to be a candidate. And one of the reasons I decided to run is as someone who's worked in public service, who's worked in government, worked in the community. Everyone realizes that because of the scandals we've had, whether it was for pay raise or bonus gate or some of the other issues, even though the way the whole casinos in Pennsylvania have been mishandled, everyone's confidence in government is at a low. You can see it either at the national or the local or the state level in all the public opinion polls. In large part, it's because some of us disagree with the policies that are taking place, but I think largely it's because people have lost faith. They see over and over again repeated abuses of power or misuse of power. So one of the reasons that motivated me to run was not that I could or would be perfect as a legislator, but that I wanted to be part of a reform movement to restore people's faith in the process. Ultimately, legislators will disagree. Voters may disagree with legislators, but you have to believe in the process. You have to believe that the elected officials are primarily focused on issues. You have to believe that the process, when issues become before the legislature, that the men and women there are focused on finding the best way to achieve success or common ground and move things ahead. What you don't want to feel as though is that when you call a legislator's office that the staff is unavailable because they're out campaigning. What you don't want to feel as a taxpayer is that your money is being misused and being used for politics. So those were the things that motivated me to be part of that. And I think what was important is in the 2006 election, a whole new host of legislators were elected, some of them running on a reform platform. I think it's vitally important in 2008 that we send another class of freshmen to Harrisburg to join that reform movement to keep it moving forward. And ultimately, I think there are a whole host of things we can do that can be done in a bipartisan way, whether it's dealing with lobbyists or dealing with bonuses. And what I had pledged as a candidate is two things. One is I would vote for a bipartisan reform agenda, dealing with lobbyist gifts, dealing with bonuses, making sure that taxpayer money can't be used for criminal defenses. I mean, only in the Pennsylvania legislature can you work as a representative or a senator, abuse your power, and then have the taxpayers pay and buy you the best defense money can buy. It's doubly insulting to the citizens. But the second step that I wanted to do was to find those things that not only could I vote for as a legislator, but what could I do personally if I were to be elected. And we've released some of those in press releases and on my webpage, but just to pick a few, one is saying neither I nor my staff would take lobbyist gifts. No matter what the rule is or what the law might be, we just wouldn't do that. And secondly, that no bonuses would be awarded. It may be harder to hire staff, but we felt it was important to come forward and say, because of the recent bonus gate scandal, that anybody that, if I were to win, anybody that worked for me, they would have a job description. They would be asked to complete that job, and at the end of the year, they could have an annual review, and we decide what their job description might be in the upcoming year. But paying someone $40,000 and then awarding them an $11,000 bonus is not normal in the private sector, and it should never take place in the public sector.
There had been some speculation that there was enough of a critical mass of of new faces in Harrisburg after the 2006 election. Some progress got made on these issues through the Speakers Commission in part, up at least through March of last year. What stalled that? What will make it get off the mark?
Well, my sense is that, in speaking to Representative Rubley and others, is that they found a few issues where there was common ground and then things fell apart. Is that when ultimately there was this sense that there were some issues that would give one side a partisan advantage. There were so-called reform issues that would help Republicans or so-called reform issues that would help Democrats. That's when the commission reached a logjam. I think the way to get around that is this year is electing new people. I think it's electing new people who are committed to a bipartisan nature. Depending on how this election cycle goes, there could be as many as 70, maybe up to 100 legislators who are in their first or second term. And having met some of them, having followed it on the internet and trying to read newspapers from across state, I think we're close to a bipartisan majority who, again, we may disagree about taxes, we may disagree about the role of government, I think, but ultimately there can be, as you said, that critical mass that's committed to getting these things in place. Because my belief is, in order to have a real, constructive or a rough and tumble discussion about property tax reform or about education or health care, again, first and foremost, we have to deal with the issue of reform. And I hope that the problems of 2006, some of that will be because of having new members come in, and also because I think in light of the recent round of indictments, again, the legislature, the members who will be there, whether they're freshmen or whether they've been there longer, I think they realize now that the downside of not accomplishing real reform could be seriously damaging not only to the system but to their careers.
Mm-hmm.